Hi, it's AlaskaGranny. It's always a good idea to have a bug-out bag so that you have something you can grab and go in an emergency. You have supplies that can help you get through for several days. Just having a bug-out bag isn't enough, though. It's a good idea to go through your bug-out bag regularly to make sure that your gear is up to date and that you understand and remember how to use your survival gear. Well, sadly, my son had a fire in his home. He was forced to rush out of his home with just his dog and his work computer. He didn't even have time to get one single other thing. While his home is a complete and utter devastating loss, we were able to find his bug-out bag, so I decided it was a good time to update it. In spite of the condition of where we found it, it was always worth a look to see if some of the things would still be usable and to make sure that then he has an updated bug-out bag. So I took everything out. I tried to decide what would have been damaged completely by fire, smoke, heat, and water. His bug-out bag's been sitting under all this mess, and so it's highly likely that a lot of the items are no longer going to be good or safe to use. So it's time to go through it anyway. You can see that the bag has a bunch of junk on top of it, but the bag itself doesn't seem to be harmed in any way. So I think I can clean the bag off and it'll still be useful. Let's take a look inside. First, there's a Thermarest pillow. It's covered with all of the fiberglass and such from the fire, so that's not going to be useful. And there's also a Thermarest inflatable sleeping pad. It is crispy crunchy and it's no longer safe, so that needs to be pitched also. He had two kinds of electronics, an Eaton Scorpion radio, flashlight, and it also has a solar panel, and I put it out in the sun, but it doesn't seem to charge anymore. So I don't know if it was the water or the fire or the heat, but it's no longer useful. And this little Gotenna doesn't seem to be working either. There's some wet wipes and some Kleenex. Those need to be replaced. There's some IOSAP and the first aid kit. It's not a good idea to trust your health or your first aid supplies if they've been through some catastrophic event. You need to pitch those items and get new ones because you just don't know. It wouldn't be safe to use any of the medicines that are inside. You can't rely on first aid supplies that have been through catastrophic events. There's some paracord. That seems to be fine. And surprisingly, there's a Coleman rain suit, and I don't know if it's because it had another wrapper around it, but this seems to be fine. Maybe simply because it was way, way deep down inside the bag. But I took it out. It seems to be fine, so that's a keeper. There's a pack towel. I got it out. It smells like smoke, but it doesn't seem to be damaged, so I'm putting that in a pile of things to wash. Next is this MSR cook set. You can see that the pots seem to be fine. The bag doesn't seem to have any harmful effects on it, and that's going into the keep pile. He has an MSR stove. It seems to be fine, but I'm going to have him put it together and check it out just to make sure that everything is still in good working order. The last thing you need is emergency gear that doesn't work in a real emergency. Look at this cute little orange pouch. It holds a waterproof, weatherproof rain jacket, and that came through fine. It doesn't even smell like smoke. Nothing seems to be on it. It seems to be fine, so I'm going to put it back in. He has a SAS survival guide, the pocket size edition, which are absolutely great to have in your survival gear. Unfortunately, this book is ruined, and I don't think you can even buy them anymore, so that is really a shame. He has some bungee cords. They seem to be fine. The duct tape, you can see, is completely misshapen, so we need to get a new roll of duct tape. Here are a couple of pocket mirrors. They look great. And some flatware, silverware. The three-piece kit is great. The white spoon and the blue fork are misshapen now. They didn't stand up well to a fire. Here's a great item. It's an Equinox poncho that has snaps and little hooks in it, and you can use it to make all kinds of shelters, all kinds of great things that you can do with this poncho. Unfortunately, something happened to it because it just has a horrific odor. something has chemically changed the components, the composite of the fabric that it's made out of, and so this needs to be pitched. If you ever see one of these, get one, because they're a very wonderful item to have in your emergency gear. There are 2 REI stuff bags. I thought they might be ruined, but I was able to wash them, and there was some sticky weird residue on them, but it washed right off. Next are the fire starting supplies. There's wet fire, there's the fire paste, some lighters. I'm not going to trust his survival on questionable fire starting gear. There's an MSR fuel bottle. Fortunately, that was empty because who knows, it might have caused an explosion during the fire. His work gloves look good. He has layers of clothes, a t-shirt, and a long sleeve zip-up. I'm going to wash those. They seem to be fine. He also has this insect shield. It's a head net, and these are super handy, especially in some of the places that we go. The bugs are ridiculous. I'm going to wash that, put it back in. The Nalgene bottle seems to be fine. I did give it a test. I washed it all out. I filled it with water and checked it to make sure there weren't any leaks in case something had melted or failed, and it's fine. He has MicroPure MP1 water purifier tablets by Catastrophe. Those need to be replaced. You have no idea what might have happened to something like that in your bag if it's gone through a catastrophic event, so make sure you replace anything like that. The platypus water carrier seems to have melted. It's leaking, so it needs to be replaced. And then he has some tools. The pocket chainsaw, those are really handy. I made a video about one of those many years ago when he and I were out backpacking together. It's a great handy item. He has a Gerber flashlight that comes with a carrying case and another little tiny one, and those both seem to work, but I'm going to replace the batteries in them just to make sure that they're fresh and ready to go. He has a Gerber pocket fold-up shovel. That's still good. A Leatherman tool. That's going to be fine. And then all these little bits. I don't have some of those. I might have to really sit down with him and figure out if I need some of those and what they're useful for. There's some fire starters. Those are fine. And he has a carabiner. Now, if you're going to get something like this, pay attention. This one has a safe working load of 150 pounds. If you're really going to just clip something onto your backpack, any carabiner will do, even one from the Dollar Tree. But if you think you might need this in some kind of a life-saving event, make sure that you get one that's designed to really carry a load. There's an emergency whistle, which is nice. It has a clip. You can hook it on your jacket. This Gear Aid Explorer repair kit. These are awesome, but they don't make them anymore. I made a video about this a long time ago when he and I were out backpacking one time, and there's all kinds of little components in there for sewing, for repairing seams. There's safety pins, there's a glue stick, there's extra buckles, alcohol prep pads. A lot of this stuff is like melted and it's not good anymore. And so most of the contents of the bag are not safe to use. So I'll have to try to find some replacements because the kit itself is no longer available. So there were a lot of things that came through fine, that he's got a real good start to having his bug out bag up and going again, but it's not complete. I have some items that I'm going to wash and replace into his bag, and then a whole pile of stuff that's damaged beyond use, and that all needs to be replaced. But we've gone through it. Now we know what do we have, what do we need to replace, and we can make a shopping list and order some things so that he has what he needs for hopefully not another emergency. So see, we just never know. We can make all the plans that we want. We can have all of the gear, but we may not ever have the opportunity to use it in a real catastrophic emergency event. But that's okay, because the number one thing you need is to save your own life. You need to get out safely. Never risk your life to save things. You can always get more things, but you can't replace yourself. So at the end of the day, what you have in your brain, the things that you've learned, what you have in your heart, the love that you have for others, and the things that you know and can create and go forward. So always keep looking forward. Make the best out of every situation. You're going to have the best possible outcome of all. If you enjoyed my video, I hope you'll share it with someone else you think might enjoy it. And please subscribe to the Alaska Granny channel.